Okay, let's go. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending. What's Trending is presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families. BYU is making a change at running back. Here's offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick.
LJ is going to start this game, and Aiden's going to play too, and so is Dion, but LJ is going to start this game.
What went into that decision to go with LJ, give him the start?
He's breaking tackles.
Sometimes it's that simple. The numbers bear it out. Martin's averaging 5.4 yards per carry. He leads the team by 89 yards through 2 games from the next closest rusher. Roderick added that BYU still needs Aiden Robbins and Deion Smith, and they will play in this game and this season. Certainly they will. But the kid from El Paso is getting the first carry. So, Spence, is LJ Martin the necessary spark for the BYU run game?
I hope so, and to his credit. And what you just heard from Aaron Roderick, he is making the most of his opportunity and breaking tackles. And I think when you look at his ability to create yards after contact, that's not something that we've seen from Aiden Robbins. A little bit from Deion Smith, but Deion Smith is a different type of running back. He's more shifty, he's better on the edges. LJ's kind of that combo back that can do a little bit of what Tyler Algier does, and then he can give you the power to get those yards after contact. The coaches are looking at the ability, yes, to be physical, create those extra yards, and frankly to do things that make you say, whoa. LJ's had multiple runs in limited carries that have brought that. He looks confident, Jarom, and that matters a lot to Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roderick. It's just the ability to steal a phrase from the scriptures, wax strong in your confidence. He looks great in the running back position in his limited carries. Little hesitation on his part. He's earned this. Now, my concern is with Aiden Robbins. BYU's going to need him this season, and this is a scenario that can frankly rock your confidence when you are the clear number 1, and then a younger guy comes in, and we have a Wally Pipp moment of sorts. Like, that's never easy to handle if you're the older guy. BYU will need Aiden Robbins. I hope this doesn't deter him too much and that he can stay fully invested, and when he's called upon eventually, he'll be there to do his thing. But I hope it's the spark that BYU needs, and I think LJ absolutely has earned this.
Yeah, through 2 games, what's something that you're going to change? If it's not Paul Miley, Connor Pay at center, then it's certainly got to be maybe someone else starting. What that starting not is, okay, we believe that you should get the most carries in this game and the first carries. Certainly being the starter isn't everything in football. In basketball, it feels like it's more meaningful, even soccer, of course, and so on and so forth. In football, starting to me is not as big of a deal. But what it says is, yes, LJ, you've earned this. You've produced. You're breaking tackles. You're doing what we need. And he's gotten a pretty good shake and opportunity so far. If I'm Aiden Robbins, when I get my opportunities now, I've got to prove something maybe a little more. I came in as the guy. I'm not the guy walking into this game. But like you said, and we've said this week, Aiden Robbins has got to produce for BYU. He has got to have a good year. Are we thinking he's still going to run for 1,000 yards? I'm not so sure, but I would love for him to get in games and be the guy that we expected him to be coming off 1,000 yards at UNLV. Now it's LJ Martin's turn. Highly touted running back coming out of high school. BYU got him because he decommitted from Texas Tech and then Stanford, and now he's a BYU Cougar. And now he's going to start in a game in the SEC against Arkansas. So hopefully this is the spark to get BYU going. Certainly if Arkansas does what Southern Utah did and loads the box, you're not going to see a ton of LJ Martin. But I doubt that Arkansas will. I bet they'll play pretty balanced and make BYU beat them straight up. Aaron Roderick also spoke on how BYU can improve the run game, in addition to LJ Martin starting, moving forward.
Well, we have a lot of work to do, but if anytime a team plays us like that, we're just going to throw the ball over their head. And we believe we're really confident we can do that against a team that doesn't want to back up. We do need to get better. We need to run harder, break tackles. We need to block better at all 11 positions. We need to coach better, and it's a team thing. The run game is an 11-man deal.
Indeed it is, and we're going to see that. By the way, BYU has 5 rushes of 10-plus this year. 4 of those are from LJ Martin. So you talk about any kind of explosion that's come from the kid from El Paso.
Those are the whoa moments.
You know, I think SUU tried to do that to us last week, having their safeties down at like 7 yards, and so.
That's Connor Pay. In fact, let's just hear from Connor, because he had a really sarcastic comment that I enjoyed.
You know, I think SUU tried to do that to us last week, having their safeties down at like 7 yards, and so, I mean, you know, we're not idiots. You're going to play your safety at 7 yards. We'll throw for 400 on you and 4 touchdowns or whatever it was. So, you know, but I guess we're just an okay team though. So, but I think, you know, it is, you know, it's something you take pride in as an offensive line to be able to move the ball in the run game regardless. And so, you know, those last 2 weeks have stung for us a little bit in that sense of where we haven't been able to do that as consistently as we wished we would have, you know, but I think, and there's a lot of reasons for that are being addressed. And so I'm excited for, you know, this game this week and getting the run game going and for the rest of the season. So.
I love some good sarcasm. I know it's the devil's playground, but sometimes I hang out there. Connor said it really well, and obviously Southern Utah dared BYU to throw, which was really interesting. They saw how much BYU struggled in the run game. Granted, we didn't know that struggle would merit, you know, that kind of yardage, but certainly when BYU ran it, they weren't that effective. So when they run it, whatever the game plan looks like, they've got to be better, as you've mentioned.
Connor's not one to mince words, and even he said, look, they're stacking the box. Yes, of course, we're going to throw it over your head for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, to quote him specifically. Wasn't quite that, but close enough. But he knows that the 23 times BYU did run the ball against Southern Utah to only average 2 yards per carry. Again, in his words, that stings. It's not good. Give me at least 3.5 or 4 yards per carry when you're actually running the ball. So had BYU only run the ball 23 times for 92 yards, fine, that's 4 yards a carry. That would have been plenty for the Cougars to feel okay about what they could potentially do against Arkansas. So looking at Connor and listening to his comments, he clearly is bothered by this, and this okay team will come in to Arkansas with the proverbial chip on the shoulder, looking to prove something against a stronger defensive front than they have faced in the first 2 weeks. So I like that Connor's salty. I'm with you. I like his sarcasm. He never minces words. Can we have a few more of those whoa moments? Not just produced by the running back, LJ Martin. Like I said, he's been special on occasion. Can we have a few of those whoa moments that are like, whoa, did you see that block? Did you see that gaping hole that LJ Martin just ran through, or Aiden Robbins, or whoever? We're looking for those whoa moments from the offensive line, and I think that they're out to prove that they can do that.
They certainly need to, and they're being challenged. Paul Miley will address that in my conversation after practice yesterday, coming up in the next segment. But certainly another piece of personnel information that came out yesterday was the fact that Cody Epps on Monday, Kalani's saying, hey, we expect him to play, but Aaron Roderick gave us an update that may not be as optimistic.
Well, he's practiced a little bit yesterday and today. Had a little setback. I don't know if he's going to be ready, but he did a little bit today. So it'd be great to get him back if we ever do. But he's not sure yet.
Well, that changes things because Cody Epps had a monster game last year to the tune of 9 catches for 125 and a touchdown against Arkansas. What are your expectations for this game if Cody Epps plays or doesn't play?
Well, I think that he is critical to this BYU offense because Cody Epps is the type of receiver that can take some pressure off the running backs and, frankly, take some pressure off of Keaton Slovis. Like, if BYU needs 3 to 5 yards on first down, Cody Epps in the slot is good enough with his footwork and his route running that he can be that dude. So if BYU's not going to be able to run for 3 to 5 yards on first down, they certainly can throw some type of hitch or a little screen or a crossing route to Cody Epps where he can get those 3 to 5 yards and set BYU up for a much better second down scenario and then get to a 3rd and short instead of consistently being in 3rd and long. Cody Epps is the guy that I believe is most suited to help BYU get out of those 3rd and long situations because he can make that impact on 1st and 2nd down, and BYU wants to throw a lot of different looks, and they want to pass more, so why not? Would Cody Epps not be the guy that could help in that scenario? If he doesn't play, Jarom, then who is that guy? Is it Keelan Marion? He's probably the next closest type of player to Cody Epps, but I didn't see him a ton in the slot in the first 2 games. So if Cody doesn't play, yeah, this hurts BYU's ability to get positive chunk yardage in those early downs.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Cody Epps needs to play in this game. And with no Rocket Sanders for Arkansas, I'd love to be full bore, pun intended, with the Brigham Young University tackling football team, intercollegiate tackling football team, because Cody Epps was This was his breakout game last year. This in Notre Dame, we were like, dude, this kid is a baller. And so I would hope that Cody is, one, healthy, and two, can play in this game. Those are obviously connected. And then, like you said, create third and manageable, which is 3rd and 5 or fewer. BYU has been caught in too many 3rd and longs, and it's tough for a lot of teams to execute there. LJ Martin, Aiden Robbins, Deion Smith, and this O-line need to show up on 1st down and make it happen. And everyone needs to do everything better. Like Aaron Roderick said, it's the play calling, it's the blocking, 1 through 11, by the way, not just the O-line. Once someone gets to that 2nd level, spring them for a big gainer. The longest rush of the season is 21 yards. Let's see LJ Martin break one out where he goes 30 or 40. But this is a huge challenge. This isn't the best defense BYU is going to play all year, but it might be. We'll see at the end of the year. I think that's Texas right now. This is a big challenge, and BYU needs both LJ Martin to show up and Cody up, so we will see. Throwback Thursday edition of the question of the day today. BYU's 4-7 all time against the SEC. That's actually a better record than I thought. I'm okay with that. 4 wins, right? So what's your favorite win over an SEC team in BYU football history? We've got 2001 at Mississippi State. That's a game-winning field goal, at the very end there. 2011 at Ole Miss, KVN saving the day. 2016 versus Mississippi State at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. That was an overtime victory. And then 2019, of course, the Micah Miracle at Tennessee and OOT as well. What's your favorite before I read someone else's?
It definitely is what happened in 2019. The Micah Miracle was just so improbable. BYU, with their backs entirely against the wall, with almost 100,000 crazy Tennessee fans screaming at the top of their lungs, for that to be completed down the sideline, just this last gasp, and to get into field goal range and have to go like sprinting up so that Jake Oldrick could bend in that field goal to send it to overtime, and then the Tyson push along with the entire offensive line. Never before has BYU scored a touchdown with 7 players at the same time until that moment. That was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So that's my favorite, just because just to hear like the crazy crowd go into utter stunned silence, aside from the 10 to 15,000 BYU fans that were going absolutely bonkers in that royal blue section of Neyland Stadium. That's number 1 for me. What about you?
It's got to be Tennessee for all the reasons you mentioned. And that Tennessee team goes 8-5. Like when BYU beats Ole Miss in 2011 to kick off independence, that was awesome. BYU fans not partaking in the Grove. They like a different Grove for different reasons. But that was a game where you beat a 2-10 team eventually. In the end, it was like, well, it was good to win. You've got to go win. But let's go. Okay, Christopher Coleman on Facebook. The 2016 Mississippi State atmosphere was at LES was rocking. Emotions were sky high. First time that season they just got over the hump. We win a close game. You remember we lost 2 to 3 games previous to that were 1 score last second. That was a big win too that day. And of course, Kai Nakua picked off a pass. That's just what he did in like every game. It's tough to play everybody not named Vanderbilt, right? In the SEC, they just have a certain kind of D lineman, a certain physicality, a certain skill set and depth that is different. Like it is different when you play the SEC. Karen Babis on Facebook. Love the Ole Miss game. KVN was epic, but nothing can compare to the win at good old Rocky Top. Even the orange-wearing fans loved our y'all shirts. What a fun game. Yeah, KVN saving the day. That was awesome. That was an offense that struggled out of the gate. Got a, JJ DeLuigi running down the field, Jake Heaps, but KVN saved the day, man. It was awesome. Continue to weigh in on Facebook, X, and Instagram.